Hi, ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us Weekly Show, where we talk about shows exclusive to Disney Plus, episode by episode, week by week, for our enjoyment and yours. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin Snell, Griffy D-Pad, and with me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing?
Jazz hands. You know who doesn't have jazz hands? Bullseye.
Yeah, he ain't got no shake.
Nah.
He has to be to hit those shots. What's up, folks? We're back to talk more about Daredevil Born Again. Episode 8, Isle of Joy. We're really getting into it this week. We got so much happening in this episode. But before we jump into it, Mitch, we do have a rigmarole. First off, what up? Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us. Guess what? We have another show on this channel, D Plus Us. That regular show that we do, where we talk about a lot of other things. You'll figure out how to do the heart one day, Mitch.
I'm never going to figure. I'm too old to do the millennial heart or the Gen Z heart. I can't do it. My mind's millennial. It's millennial. Come on. It is. That's the only way it is.
Anyways, go check out the regular show. We just put up an episode recently about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1. We are trying to get back to some of that stuff we've missed in the last few months. So go ahead and
I'm telling you, Idiocracy is sitting right there.
It is sitting right there ready for us to do, but if I talk about that movie right now, I think I'm going to
I might have a mental breakdown.
Like, with just the world.
Yeah.
Anyways, go check out the Spider-Man episode. It's a really good one. Great show. Can't wait to talk more about that. Guess what, folks? This is the penultimate episode of Daredevil. The next episode will be the finale. When that finale ends, we will talk about it. And then we are moving straight into Andor Season 2.
Yeah, because that's not going to be difficult to watch in today's political climate.
Because this has been easy?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I could go on a political rant, and I'm going to choose not to, because...
Harder to in this episode, to be honest.
I mean,
but we'll get there.
Less about the episode and more about just the general state of things as of today, but...
Yeah. It's okay, it'll all be different tomorrow.
Yeah, fair point. Anyways...
You want tariffs on computers? Here's tariffs. Oh, wait, no, here's no tariffs. Oh, here's tariffs again. Okay, great.
Oh, it got so much worse today, Mitch. It got so much worse.
I've been trying to stay off the internet, to be honest.
Anyways, go check out our other stuff. It's really fun and cool and stuff. And I am officially working on yet another video essay that will hopefully be out eventually.
Is it the one where you just, brag to Mitch that you're in the parks all the time and he's not?
I mean, that might be part of it. I might force that into the video essay just because it would be funny to me.
I shouldn't have said anything.
But it is about the parks, yes, because I can actually film in the parks now. It's great. Anyways, that's not what this episode is about, though. We're talking about episode 8 of Daredevil Born Again. Like I said, the penultimate episode, Isle of Joy. Man, we got our political intrigue episode in this one, man. Like, they hit the gas and did not stop with this one.
Honestly, this felt the way episode 1 did, and hopefully episode 9 will, where the creative team that came in and split this into 2 seasons and made the changes they did in terms of the characters they're using, the stories they were telling. Presumably, we'll see John Bernthal again in episode 9. Like, this is where we're going to take it from an 8 to about an 11. And this was the episode that kickstarted all that.
Oh, yeah. I think this was the one for me where it was like, okay, we are seeing the collision finally of everything. Which is like, we had this Muse storyline. Muse's story is done.
Yes.
But the ramifications of that story are going to continue into the rest of this season and season 2.
Yeah, Muse was a means to an end to get us to the point that we're at with the Anti-Vigilante Task Force.
Yeah, and seeing that...
And Bullseye Daredevil is just going to crank that right up.
Well, seeing them in full force in this episode was chilling in such a great way. Seeing BB's storyline amongst all of that, Matt and Bullseye, and the reveal in this episode, of course, folks, this is full of spoilers. Some of the reveals here, whether it is Jack DeKent's in this episode, Tony Dalton coming back, and having this great moment with Fisk, right? Where Fisk is absolutely willing to be like, no, I'll let you continue to be a vigilante if you just pay me off.
Well, even just some of the foreshadowing that we get when he goes to Rikers and visits Poindexter of like, in another life you would have defended me, right? That's what good guys do. They defend bad people. And the episode ends with him literally taking a bullet for Fisk. Not Kingpin, but he takes a bullet for Fisk because Fisk was Fisk at that party for the
I
most
saw some
part.
interesting theorizing about that episode, and I want to get into it. But the thing I want to talk about
Okay.
first is that Vanessa reveal. That Vanessa is the
Oh
one
yeah.
that hired Bullseye to kill Foggy.
I still, I would be very, very interested in the story they would tell if that was a setup. If they went the comic book route and Foggy needed a reason to fake his death, and that Vanessa was the means to doing that, and they actually were collaborating on that and getting Poindexter framed and setting all this up
They
to
might.
where it's at. But like, there's so much they can do here, and I'm really excited to see where they get there with this next episode, and then ultimately where that sets us off to go and explore in season 2 and subsequent street level MCU properties.
It's such a well done reveal too. I love this in this entire episode, right? That Matt is on a warpath in this one, directed at Fisk, and then brief detour for Bullseye, and then back to Fisk.
Yeah,
Um,
like this is Matt going off the rails of him showing up at the he should not have gone to that party, as he kind of alludes to at the beginning of the episode, and it just escalates from there to a level I did not expect this show
at
to
the
get
beginning
to.
of the episode, and like every second he's at that party.
Yeah, like
At the
I
same
was
time,
sitting
he has
there,
one of the
I
most
was
badass
literally,
moments he's had in the show, where he drops his cane on the waiter's plate and then just starts
I was
dancing.
literally on the edge of my seat the entire time because I didn't know when the turn was going to come or what the turn was going to be, and I love that this show was able to subvert the expectations that I had as I would call myself a super fan of the MCU or of Marvel in general.
If we do a
And
podcast about it, we are definitely super fans.
oh yeah. Like I was still surprised because it subverted the expectations that I had, where this whole show has been this duality of Kingpin, Daredevil, and how it intertwines with their private lives. And the swerve here that Vanessa's behind everything. One, in hindsight, should have been predictable, but at the same time, because of the way that they interweaved Matt and Fisk's stories, I didn't see it being where they were going to take these characters to end this season.
Yeah, I knew that they were going to do something with Vanessa, right? We had that moment of her, like,
Yeah.
presumably sending, what's his name? His name doesn't matter, to kill Fisk at the end of that. I think it was the last episode. Or one
The
before that.
the tracksuit guy, right? Wasn't that tracksuit mafia guy?
Mm-hmm. But like, sending him off to kill Fisk, or we've seen bits like everything her with her lover, right? Where in this
Yeah.
episode it finally comes to a head, and she has to be the one to kill him. Like, it's that great play of like, now she's pissed, and she has questioned Wilson Fisk the entire way through on this, and now we are seeing it all kind of play to fruition in very interesting way, kind of trying to set up Wilson as kind of the lesser of two evils here.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me to see how this goes. But the big one for me is like that. You can tell something big is going to happen the minute that her and Fisk step out into the ball in that bright purple dress at the black and white ball. Like,
Was it? I thought it was red.
Sorry,
Wasn't it?
bright red. What did I say? Purple.
Yeah.
Thinking of Jessica Jones.
Still, it was this like black and white black tie event, and she comes out in this daring red dress. Like, I mean, again, just foreshadowing where this episode ends, right? With bloodshed.
So good. But then everything that leads up to that, like I mentioned a little bit with like kind of the vigilante task force story that we got in this, right? With them beating up the press guy who had snuck in.
Oh, they literally put his hand in a fryer.
Yeah. While
That
the
was
chief
fucked up.
told him that he would arrest them, and then telling the chief that he had no jurisdiction over them.
I'm very interested to see where, like, it almost feels like that's what's setting up what's to come with Punisher, whether it be in this next episode or in his special of it's Punisher versus the cops.
Oh,
And
I've
how
been saying it
do
since day one, right? I want
no, I know, but I'm also just curious how that intertwines with what BB is going through right now with the chief of police, and whether or not that is we see an end to that, or at least a culmination of those events between BB and Kid Kingpin that I've been calling, but even though he's not
Daniel Blake.
Daniel Blake. Whether or not we see a conclusion to that, at least in this season, or if that's a thread that they're going to continue through into the Punisher special or into season 2.
That feels like a season 2 thing to me. That feels much bigger. I love this, especially after we got her, like, again, I'm pretty sure it was last week, the scene of Daniel Blake threatening her,
Yeah, it was last week.
and then him getting drunk and trying to like brag and like he thinks they have this connection, but BB's absolutely playing him at this like, and you can see that at the
1,000%.
end of that, and like I just know that Ben is looking down on her so fucking proud.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah,
love that storyline, and I'm so happy that they went this way with it. And they didn't tell us because we didn't need to know until now.
Yeah. I mean, it really does feel like to this point, this season has felt like two very different shows. So it does kind of show that the creative did take a shift when they came in with this new vision of the show, because there's still remnants of what the old vision was going to be, and obviously, those have clashed at times. But I'm very curious to see with some of the threads that have been left open between these two different creative streams, what with the murder of White Tiger, with the BB Daniel stuff, with Chief, with Punisher, all of these threads that have kind of been introduced. How much of that can they wrap in one episode? Right? Because ultimately, I still want this season to feel have a satisfying end and not leave open a bunch of these questions that are either going to stretch out into the wider MCU between Punisher, season 2 of this, other Defenders level stuff, or as has happened with this phase of the MCU, nothing.
See, I don't think we're getting a succinct end to this, and I'm totally okay with that because we know season 2 is coming. It would be one thing for me if we didn't know that a season 2 was happening, that we didn't know that this was a 2-part story. It's the same way, for instance, with like the last Mission Impossible and the last Fast and Furious movie that end on these two ridiculous cliffhangers that do not satisfy anything for the actual story itself. Especially that Fast and Furious cliffhanger. I'm still mad about that.
It's pretty bad.
Just because it's a bad movie.
Well, I mean, we watch a lot of bad movies here, so you can't really fault them for that.
That one's especially bad, though, when you know it.
Yeah.
Anyways, but, like, we know more is coming. We know that the story is not at an end. And that's why I'm like, okay if we get to that. I do think we had our wrap-up moment already. Muse's story is done. That is, to me, the season 1 holder. And these episode 8 and 9 are essentially just transition episodes in my brain to season 2.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to have to wait a whole year to get the answers that this episode is ultimately going to leave us with. I hope we do get some resolution here. It doesn't have to be everything, but I do want that, like, not just the setup for what season 2 is going to be, but like answer some things now and leave us with those breadcrumbs going into both Punisher and Daredevil season 2.
At least we're not waiting like 3-4 years. At least it's only one.
Well, do we know when the Punisher special is coming?
They haven't said. They also haven't like officially announced anything about the Punisher special.
I mean, John Bernthal's out there being like, "I'm writing this. It's going to be amazing."
Well,
like
they've said they're working on it. They haven't like given it a title or given it a date or anything. Like it's a thing.
Presumably, then you have to expect that it's going to be after season 2, and if so, is it going to be one of those things that like takes place between season 1 and 2, and season 1 is used to set that up, or do they just hold that all off and let it be a thing after the conclusion of season 2? Or it's so hard right now though with these two characters to have it be that way.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, there's also writing the entire Punisher series separate from Daredevil.
Yeah, I mean, it can totally just be a one-shot story of a thing happens. Honestly, they could go the route of, this is noir. No, I don't want them to totally vamp on what we got with Werewolf by Night, but like if they just go like Pulp Fiction noir style, very little dialogue, lots of action, that could be interesting.
I really think they're gonna go like pretty light on the story, pretty heavy on the violence. Because
that seems to be Punisher's MO and what John Bernthal the stories he wants to tell with this character.
Mm-hmm. Bringing it back around, speaking of violence, I want to talk about that scene in the prison between Matt and Poindexter. Because what a scene. But I've seen some pretty wild speculation online, and I want to get your take on this, Mitch, of whether or not Matt meant for Daredevil to go free, or Matt meant for Bullseye to go free.
No, honestly, I think it was just a slip. It was Daredevil coming out. It wasn't Matt thinking logically about it. It was Daredevil wanting
I
to get
agree.
his chunk of flesh.
I think Matt got played expertly by
I
Point
don't think
Break.
Matt got played. I think Daredevil got played because that is Daredevil coming through, and that is the violent aspect of his duality of personality, right?
Yeah, I mean we've had this argument the entire show about are they separate, are they one?
They're the same person, but you can kind of you can see the shift in when he is mentally in Matt mode versus Daredevil mode.
Fair, fair.
Like you
I mean,
see
I like
that
how he was
Demeter.
the
It's the Superman Clark Kent.
he
It's
was
the Superman Clark Kent enigma, right?
this episode, and that's what I like it is. He is Matt in angry Matt mode, and
Yeah,
and
but I
it
mean I do
shifts.
still see it as like. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we've had this argument a few times on the show so far. Like, of is this the Batman thing? What is the mask and whatnot? And I'm like, I still very much stand. No, they are one and the same. Daredevil and Matt are absolutely the same person. This isn't a I'm putting on the mask to. It is his. It is very much right his anger and his frustration in the world made flesh, but it is still the same intention behind both people. Whereas something like a Batman situation is, the Batman mythos we've had for the last decade. I do think
Yeah,
Superman's actually a really good foil on that. Of like, Cal and Clark are the same person always.
but
It's just
he
sometimes they
knows what the public needs when he's Clark versus when he's Kal-El Superman,
exactly.
right? And maybe that's the closer analogy that I'm trying to make with Matt and Daredevil here. Of he knows what the public needs to see or perceive of Matt for him to be a functional member of society, but that switch can flip at a moment's notice when the devil needs to come out.
Yeah, I think Matt's honestly his whole thing is more just addictive personality to it, and I
Yeah,
think we play a lot with that. Like we got that great scene with Cherry, um, of like you are beating yourself up, you are doing this to yourself, you are going to get hurt. And then you have that moment in return with Cherry and I can never remember her name. Yeah,
McDuffie.
McDuffie. Of like, what's wrong with Matt? You have to tell me.
She's got to figure it out at some point, right? Like
I
it
mean,
just
these are
it.
the secret identities in the Marvel universe, right? Like they never stay secret.
No, and I can very much see like maybe the end of season one is the reveal to the public of Fisk and Daredevil have this very public falling out, or there's a whatever it is, very public confrontation, and Fisk just outs him. Like,
I mean,
what
he
are the
almost outed
ramifications of
him
that season two
in
of that?
Ether, right? Like,
He was right there. I could very much see this being a Spider-Man Far From Home moment of Daredevil is Matt Murdock,
yeah,
and see how that plays out.
I
I
wonder if
don't
the
want
new
them to do that
episodes
because
will
they've
be
already
more
told that story with Spider-Man, but at the same time, people got to know.
true. I think it could be interesting on a level of like, what are the ramifications of this for the legal aspect of it? I don't think they're gonna play into that. I think season 2 is gonna be a lot more superhero heavy. Um,
Yeah, I do
but
as well.
it's all interesting. It's all fascinating to me what we're gonna get next week or this next episode, which is tomorrow. Um,
See, no, we recorded this right after because we're good podcasters. We didn't wait almost a week to do it because life.
I've already referenced things that happened this morning in this episode, so
That's true. I also referenced the whole tariff thing that happened over the weekend,
we're
the
horrible
seesawing.
podcasters. We know that. In terms of
I'm
tangents
bad.
and
I'm
stuff.
bad at this. We know that by now.
Um, but yeah, it makes me curious where we're going next. But I do have a couple of questions for you. Really, just one, actually. We know we're getting the black suit next season.
Yeah.
Do we see that in the finale?
No. Just save it. There's no reason to get it back or to show that now. I mean, realistically, we've hardly seen the red Daredevil costume this season, so just play with that.
See, I wonder if they're gonna have a moment because like that black suit represents very specific things for Daredevil.
Yeah.
of Daredevil going down a significantly darker path, a much more authoritarian path. So it
See,
could
I
be
don't necessarily
I could
like
see that
from
being a dope post credits or final moment before the credits thing that they want to do, of just like one final mic drop, tune in next year, kind of thing. But
I don't think we get it here because I do think that the thing that is going to push Matt to that point is Heather's death. And I do think that the black suit is more him in mourning than it is anything else. And granted, that would have been really poignant after Foggy's death, but I still don't think that's a thing. And I'm going to continue to say that until he comes back because it's comics. Everybody comes back except Maria Hill for some reason.
I mean, there was the other episode we talked. That episode we talked for him. Like, guess what? The Daredevil Instagram account is fucking with us,
Yeah, they are.
and they continue to fuck with us. But yeah, I'm interested to see what comes next. But what we've gotten so far this season, like, yeah, you can tell that this is another. You can tell where the edits were, right, with the reshoots and whatnot, and like this episode and the last episode, to your point of them being very similar to episode 1, directed by the same people who directed episode 1. So
Yeah.
makes sense that they're a little tonally different. But all in all, I think it still all works, and I'm really happy with what we've gotten so far this season.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how they wrap some things up in this finale and how they leave us wanting for more for next year.
And of course, folks, that's where we're going to wrap it up. Because we're tired. We got a finale to watch tomorrow.
I still gotta go to watch The Last of Us season 2, episode 1, which I know we don't talk about here, but by God, I cannot wait for this show.
We watch other stuff other than Disney stuff, folks. It's shocking.
I really don't. Actually, that's not true. Right now, I'm watching Pokemon. That's not on Disney.
Good show. Anyways, folks, check out all of our other stuff that we're working on. Check out our episode on the finale when we record that. Check out Andor when we talk about that. There's plenty of content to watch from us, so go take a look at that. We will see y'all.
Thunderbolts is coming soon.
Oh man, that is soon.
Like,
Isn't it?
yeah, it's like less than a month.
Oh shit! I cannot wait. I gotta get my ticket for that soon.
Yeah, we do too. We got to figure out what night we can get a babysitter and do that whole thing.
I actually have to worry about that now. I no longer
Getting a
have to-
ticket or a babysitter? Because if it's
Ticket.
babysitter, I have far more questions.
Ticket, not babysitter. Just
Yeah, because you want to go see it at the freaking AMC at Disney
Well, no, but I
Springs
used
because
to
you're a
live- I
lunatic.
used to live somewhere that like I didn't have to worry about that because there's always a ticket.
You do now. Welcome to hell. At least
folks,
your hell is hot. Ours is covered in snow. We had snow this week,
I
Griffin.
told you I would prefer that.
I think you're a crazy person, but let us know in the comments. Are you team snow or team unrealistic 40-degree humidity in Florida? Because I know what team I would be, but that's only because I've lived in Canada my whole life.
Yeah.
The answer is to stay in Canada. Florida's a fucking shit show.
So we'll be back with the next episode. But until then,
Love you, Florida.
be good to each other and have a magical day.
Excelsior.